Welcome to an all-new review. This is SeaWorld Orlando. You guessed it, in Orlando, Florida. One of the 3 SeaWorld parks in America, the others being San Antonio and San Diego. So actually, of the 3, this was the last one that I had been to. So when I was walking around, I had the chance to compare it in my mind to the other 2 that I had previously visited, and I came to the conclusion that this was by far the best of the 3 SeaWorld parks. The San Diego one was beautiful, but didn't have the thrills I was looking for. The San Antonio one had some thrills, but too much landing, so it kind of felt empty. This one made up for everything. They have some amazing thrills. Manta is fantastic. Mako is fantastic. Kraken I wasn't huge with, but I know some people that love it. And Journey to Atlantis is pretty cool as well. And it also complements that with some amazing shows. We all know that the SeaWorld parks do shows very well, and this one is no different. I had a chance to see the dolphin show, the sea lion show, and the shamu show, and they were all great and for different reasons. I loved the dolphin show because of the way the trainers interact with the creatures, and you really see what these animals are capable of. And I loved the sea lion show because it's funny, it's playful, and the shamu show was cool because you got to learn more about orcas. If there were any show that I thought could have been a bit better, I do think that the shamu show could have used some improvement. But also I know that they've been trying to make it more educational based and less entertainment based. So I can understand why it was what it was. But aside from those, they also have lots of animal exhibits. And it's not just sea animals, they also have birds, like there's a flamingo habitat. You get to see some fancy birds, they're pretty cool. But of course, because this is SeaWorld, you do see lots of sea animals. They have a cool shark tunnel that you get to go through. I always love seeing those things. And there's even like a dolphin nursery, so you can watch these baby dolphins. And it's so cute as they're playing and everything. I love it. And this is all done while the park is so well landscaped. All the parks in the SeaWorld entertainment chain are gorgeous, and this one is no exception. They take the time and effort to make the park look good. Now, definitely some areas looked better than others. One area that I thought was kind of cool was their Antarctica section. And this was interesting because they try to make you look like you're at the bottom of the world, so they have ice-like buildings everywhere. So that was kind of neat. And then that's around their dark ride, which is Empire of the Penguin, which I did not ride because I heard it was really lame. So just take note of that. I cannot say for myself what I thought of it, but I've just heard it's not really worth your time, which is kind of unfortunate. And the other thing I thought was worth noting about landscaping and really park layout in general is they have this massive lake in the center. And this is cool, but it can also be a disadvantage because when you're on one side and want to go to the other, you got to go completely around the lake. That's not always the most convenient, but you know what? You make do. I thought it was nice how they have a boardwalk going out over it. And you can actually take like a flamingo paddle boat out, which I thought was pretty cool. That is an upcharge, so we did not do it. But I still thought it was pretty neat. And from what I've heard, they do a really cool nighttime show with that lake. Unfortunately, when we went, the park closed pretty early. I believe it was around 6 or 7. So we did not get a chance to see it. But if you're there when it's showing, I've heard it's awesome. I mentioned some areas look better than others. I think if there was one area that definitely did not look great, it's where Infinity Falls is going. But that was because it was just a bunch of construction walls. So it was not exactly appealing to the eye. That being said, when it is finished, if they ever finish it, I'm sure it too will look really good. It's already shaping up to be one of the best raft rides ever built. So I think that'll be a really cool fit for this park. Especially since when we were there, it's very hot and humid. So I can totally see how that would be a great way to refresh things off. I want to talk a bit about the food because if you've ever been to a park in the SeaWorld entertainment chain, you know they do some really nice food. It's definitely a big step up from your Six Flags or Cedar Fair offerings. They have a nice dining hall where you can go and get some cool food offerings, very similar to ones that you'd see at like the Busch Gardens parks. And also they have some more fancier dining like Shark's Underwater Grill. If there was one downside I saw, it was that it took a really long time to get our food at one point. The workers were very unenthusiastic, the place just seemed understaffed, and so even though there was a short line to get food, it took us forever because they were just being so slow. And obviously it's not going to be like that every single time, but it wasn't great when the first time we go to get food, that was our experience, so it kind of left a sour taste in our mouth for the rest of the day. But they did offer a great deal where you could get a new meal every 90 minutes for one price, so even though the food may be overpriced, you can get get good deals like that, which I thought were really nice. Especially when you're a family of 4 trying to feed everyone, a deal like that really came in handy. And what I thought was interesting was the park doesn't have too many rides because they really focus on, you want to be able to ride the stuff but also see the shows. So even though I wasn't at the park all day, going in I was thinking, oh, I'm not going to need all day for this park. But when I was leaving, I was thinking to myself, man, I kind of wish that I had came here a bit earlier because it would have been nice to have all day here. I can see why people would want to spend all day here if you want to see all of the shows and really do all that this park has to offer. That being said, if you're just here for the roller coasters, you'll probably be in and out pretty quickly. When we went, the lines were like non-existent. It didn't seem like SeaWorld got really big crowds, especially when we had done every other major park in Orlando that same week. SeaWorld Orlando was by far the emptiest, which I thought was interesting. Really, the biggest attractions that I could see, at least to the general public, were the shows, more so than the roller coasters. Either that or the roller coasters just had a really good capacity, so you couldn't tell. But the shows were always packed, so make sure to get there early if you want a good seat. So that's going to wrap up my review for SeaWorld Orlando. I really enjoyed my experience here. I think it's a great park. Obviously, it is not perfect, but from what I saw, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time there. I will gladly go back. I thought it was great seeing what they do and listening to how they rehabilitate animals and all the good they're doing. And of course, they've got some very solid rides. Really, the only downside I saw was I wasn't really impressed with Kraken VR, but it looks like they've taken that off for the time being. And I don't really think that's a loss. I was not really a big fan of the experience. So I don't think you're really missing out if you didn't get a chance to ride that. But overall, really good park. Definitely worth visiting if you're in Orlando. So let me know if you've been here, what you think of it. If you agree with my thoughts, you can let me know down in the comments below. And of course, stay tuned for more park reviews here at Coaster Studios.